with even more Pokemon Pocket. As you can see, we are almost at enough hourglasses to do another 10 pull. So, before we get into any PvP or viewer battling, I want to see if we're able to get enough hourglasses to make this work. So, we want to do solo mode. And then you can see I've made some progress. Pokeball and Great Ball are fully completed. I did a little bit of that off stream. But also, something I didn't notice was after the tutorial, there was a whole new set of tutorial missions, which gave us a little bit more item cards. Next, and finally, we have one that is going to cover special conditions, like poison, sleep, and burn. Looks like this one is going to be a poison-themed one. Barabano, beta, oyokimite kudasai. Alright, so it's going to look at poison gas, which says the opponent's active Pokemon is now poisoned. バスにはこのようにダメージだけでなく、いろいろな効果を持つものがあります。このまずは相手のポケモンをhold on, I know the word for this. What is the special condition? I can't remember right now, unfortunately. But not too relevant. 毒ガスで相手のポケモンを毒にしましょう. Alright, so we use poison gas and inflict a little bit of damage plus the poison. Obviously, poison Pokemon are going to take 10 damage between each turn. Opponent's turn, they will take 10 more, and then we are going to be able to finish the round by declaring another attack. Dokonado, man, I need to remember what this is. I feel like I even had it up at some point, but I can't find it anymore. I know the first part is Toku, because it's also in Tokusei the abilities. Oh, and they just want us to end the turn to show that Caterpie is going to faint from the poison. And then what exactly is our reward here? Alright, so this is a rental deck. But does it come with any copies of this? This one is, this is the deck recipe. So if we finish getting all the cards in the rental deck, we will be able to use it permanently. But that is an okay reward. Where we left off yesterday, though, in the Master Ball missions, is against this Charizard deck. While I was off stream, I did go ahead and make a deck for every type. So we're not going to need to go ahead and do all that switching around every single time. There are special missions here, such as finishing the battle with only low rarity cards or grass types. But for today, we are simply going to be trying to win in general. These are the hardest AI opponents in the game. So we definitely do want to make sure we are able to actually beat it. And we did open with our Articuno. So let's lead with it and see if we're able to land some acceleration with Misty. If we get a couple of heads, or even a single one, we will be able to attack with Freezer on our very first turn. The opponent opened it with, I think, double Pokeball there. They did. So another Moltres EX is coming down. But no energy will be attached and drop a Pokeball of our own. We already know we want to use Costumey this turn. So I don't need to think about whether or not to use Pokeball or the Tenkyu. Unfortunately, we do not accelerate. So Articuno, attach, and we'll put down the other Staryu before ending our turn. I believe I just got pinged. So let me go make sure it's not anything I need to immediately respond to. Our opponent is accelerating to Fire Energy. Fortunately for us, Fire is of course going to be weak to Water. So we will be able to two-shot the Moltres when we would normally need 3 attacks to do so. Ice Wing for 60. And then Blizzard for 90 on the next turn. Unless they retreat, they shouldn't be able to get the win here. But they go for a potion. And that does change the math a little bit. With an additional turn of survival, they are going to be able to knock out our Articuno before we're able to do too much damage to them. Fortunately, this is far from a one-shot though. So we will weaken this Moltres and bring the opposing Moltres on the bench into range here. And there goes Heat Blast. We'll go ahead and activate Costumey, trying to accelerate onto the Starmie. Whether or not it succeeds is not a huge deal, and we absolutely do not need 4 entire energy. But since we have it, we might as well go for it. And I also just noticed we have a potion in hand. With this, our Articuno is going to be able to survive another hit from the Moltres, which is super important. Obviously, they switched out in order to try avoiding getting hit by the KO this turn. But now, we have what should be essentially a guaranteed victory. We will try to disrupt their attempts to evolve that Charmander by using Red Card and reducing their hand size by 3. Another attack with Blizzard, leaving 1 Moltres down. And of course, our Starmie on the bench is already ready to go. I theoretically could have gone and retreated the Articuno to prevent them from claiming the prize cards here. But I didn't think about it. And I do think one of the missions is actually to make sure they don't score any points. So I am going to need to redo this battle at some point. Though, obviously we weren't going for a ton of the missions here. Let's go ahead and finish this one up. Ignore the warnings. And our first victory is complete. And I'm not sure what we actually get if we aren't doing these missions properly. Alright, so we did manage to win within 12 turns, which is also important. Alright, but for the first time, we do gain experience points and hourglasses. A couple of pretty useful things. So, next up is the water deck. We're going to give it a shot with our lightning deck. But if we aren't able to win, we will switch back to our own water. As I believe, our water deck is the best one so far. Alright, so they are weak to lightning. So we're gonna bring in Voltorb first. Fortunately, or maybe unfortunately, we are up first, which is questionable given our lack of acceleration options and our lack of good EXs here. I'll just throw down a couple of cards. And since they are at 4, red card away the rest of their hand. End turn. So our Voltorb is actually not really dealing any more damage than our Farfetch'd would. Let's see what we draw. If we draw into a speed boost, we will use it to retreat the Voltorb, but we do not. So basically no matter what we go with, all of our options here are going to be inflicting 40 damage. I'm going to go ahead and bring in Voltorb for now. Get in for a quick early swing. But then I am probably going to retreat this Voltorb in order to try saving it for later. If we're able to draw it into an Electrode, we will be dealing significantly more damage. Ice Wing is hitting us for 40, but unfortunately, Blizzard is ready to go on the next turn. But we do draw the Electrode, and that does change the math. If we were to equip here, I wish I owned the Giovanni card. We are 10 off from a KO. But Electro Ball is going to bring this Articuno down to 10. Blizzard will knock us out, but our Whimsicott will finish the job. And then once we put in the Whimsicott, we will place Pinch Urchin into the active after we charge energy onto it. They have claimed the first point, but we are going to claim 2 on our turn. And we just drew into an Electabuzz, which may change the math. Obviously, its ability to deal 80 damage for just 2 energy is quite strong, though it is on a coin flip. All we need is 1 knockout. If they draw into the Starmie here, we are going to be in some trouble. And the Greninja is also a bit of a challenge for us, as it's going to bring in a passive 20 damage every single turn. We are able to heal it with the potions, but does it even actually matter? So if we deal 40, we're going to get knocked out on the next turn, and then we can deal 100. We have a very low chance to win this game, but it all comes down to Electabuzz flipping a heads on the next turn. Is my internet alright? It seems like it should be fine, but OBS is dropping frames. Hopefully we are going to be able to see it through the end of this battle. And with full health, Electabuzz hits with Thunder Punch. If this is a heads, we will KO. But we rolled a tails. And with that, Starmie EX, just barely, going to be able to get a knockout here, right before we would have won. So we are going to be retrying this battle. I was quite close, so I am tempted to use the lightning deck one more time. I think maybe I could have played that a little bit better. If I were to have not led with the Voltorb, it would have been able to swing in as Electrode for an additional turn. And maybe I would have been able to get in the extra damage I needed that way. But this time, we are going second. Interestingly, we are forced to open with the 1 Pokemon in our deck. That is not going to deal super effective damage. But we are going to be able to find something good to bench between 2 copies of Research and a Pokeball. Um, right now, I think we do want to try to find our evolution Pokemon, as that is what's going to win us the game. So in order to search for evolutions, we're going to use Pokeball first, as this means when we research, there is one that's basic in the deck for us to potentially draw. We draw another Monster Ball, so we will go ahead and use it as well. I know Greninja has exactly 120 health, so if I were to power up our Zapdos here, we'd be able to get a clean KO. Alternatively, I can go for this, and then use the X speed to retreat and deal with the Froakie, even if it evolves into a Frogadier. Unless the Frogadier has 90 instead of 80. I'm actually not entirely sure how much HP the stage 1 has, but if they do evolve, they aren't going to be able to attack, so we should be able to get the first prize here. And it is an 80 HP Pokemon. This is perfect. But much less perfect is that they are choosing to retreat the Frogadier, and it actually even is a 1 energy attacker. But this is all okay. All we need to do now is start powering up Zapdos. Electabuzz is a solid backup attacker, so I will go ahead and bench it. They do have 4 cards in hand, so I am a little bit concerned about that. Also, I misplayed. Had I played the Professor's Research first, I would have known to attach the energy onto the Helioptile. But I am going to red card either way. If they have a Greninja in their hand, I want them to get rid of it. So I could have gotten a guaranteed KO this turn. If I lose, it's entirely due to my own misplays. An Evolution Frogadier and another Greninja would actually knock out the Helioptile, as it'd be 20 plus 30. Let's see what they have. Blizzard coming down, but they are powering up the EX instead. And once we evolve, 90 hit points is going to be just enough to successfully tank an Ice Wing from the opposing Articuno. Heliolisk is going to grab a clean KO. And then next turn, I'm expecting to take 40 from the Articuno. And then we'll hit back and then finish the game with our Zapdos. This should work. Fortunately, even with the Greninja, they are just barely unable to KO. However, a clean heads from Kasumi is going to mean Blizzard will knock out our Zapdos. And that is horrible. We are 1 turn behind. I don't see how we win this one. They've gotten us again, all because of my own misplays. The potion doesn't really help here. I will end my turn, but I don't think there's anything I can do. Blizzard is going to reduce the Zapdos down to 60. And then even if I were to use my potion. Wait, oh, and that's not even counting the Greninja. Entirely my fault we lost this one. I will just finish myself off with Thunder, KOing my own Electabuzz. 20 hit points away from a win. 1 more turn, just like last time. So our Lightning deck is clearly not doing great. But what if we were to switch over to our best deck, which is our own Starmie and Articuno deck? I don't have all the Greninjas set up yet. However, this might be good enough. If we get a solid start, Accelerated Energy with Misty, we'll be able to get in and deal some damage. We're going second, which can be good. All we need to do is flip a heads with our Misty, and will be dealing 40 damage on the first turn. And that is important for winning the race between our two Articunos. The AI also has a chance to use Misty here, though. We're hoping for a Tails on their end. I'm actually not sure if anyone watching knows in the chat if they rolled 2 or 3 heads with Misty, would they have been able to attack? So we are, of course, starting with the Misty, seeing how much energy we're able to get. And there is 1. Just 1 is still fine with me, as it means we are wildly ahead in terms of attack speed. If they aren't able to attack us on the next turn either, we get a huge lead. Alright, they are going for a Professor's Research. And their board is looking pretty strong. They recognize we are going to win against the Articuno, and are choosing to power up the Starmie instead. If the Starmie gets the first hit on our Articuno, we are going to need to figure out a good way to get the next KO. None of our Pokemon on the bench currently feel particularly appropriate for it. So, what do we do? 90, 180, even if we were to land 2 potions, I believe we still get taken out. But maybe it's not so bad. All we need to do is KO that Starmie. And it is going to be weakened pretty considerably by the Blizzard. However, it does have free retreat. So then they'll be able to bring in the Articuno themselves. Snom is getting weakened every turn. Alright, Monster Ball is up first. And we find a Staryu. Not quite enough. However, if we were to draw it into our own Starmie, that could win us the game. For now, I don't think we are able to do much of anything. So, Blizzard. Inflict 80 damage, plus a little bit over to the bench. And then see what we can do later. I think we'll need to use the potion to heal the Snom here. Obviously the Starmie is going to retreat into the Articuno, unless the Auto Battler makes a mistake. And they do. Instead of retreating Starmie, they leave it active with only 30 health left. And that means Farfetch'd is able to take a KO. Oh, welcome, Rafflesia. Hope you are having a good day. We are currently 0-2 against this deck. But with this, Leak Slap Farfetch'd is going down. And that's going to be our second one of the day. Previously, we did roll over a Charizard deck. We aren't doing very many of the actual mini missions within each challenge. But we are making slow progress through the first time clears, which provide hourglasses, experience points, and shop tickets, which are then able to be redeemed for even more hourglasses. Next up is Pikachu and Raichu. I obviously don't want to use my water deck, as we are weak. However, my Machamp deck is not all that powerful either. I don't have any of the fighting type EXs, and a 1-1-1 line of Machamp is a little bit inconsistent, to say the least. Fortunately, we are opening with an Ebiwara, and with only 1 energy required for a 50 damage attack, maybe we find a way here. I think we need to find as many pieces of the line as possible. So, Professor's Research, draw 2 cards, see what we get. then Pokeball for a chance at the Machop. And we do find it. Machop going onto the bench, as well as Clobbopus. They have 4 cards in hand, so we red card, removing one of their options from the board. And if they draw into any trainer cards, maybe, just maybe, the Pikachu deck is not going to be able to find 3 full basics. They pass on nothing. This is huge. Unless they fully bench their board this turn, our Ebiwara is going to be able to survive and get in for another 50 damage, putting us in a huge lead. Let's see what they do. Pikachu didn't even attack, as there are no bench Pokemon to deal damage with. The red card bricked our opponent. This is exactly what we needed to see. For now, I am not going to play down the Machamp, just in case we need to go in even harder on the next turn. Our chance attack costs 3, and if they manage to pick up a KO, we are going to try to use our Machoke. Oh, and welcome SG. Hope you are having a good day. And now that our Machoke is at 2 energy, we are able to evolve into the all-powerful Machamp. Jab for 50, bringing the Pikachu down to just 10 health. Another battle where I wish I owned Giovanni. Activating it would be good enough to grab a KO. Alright, so we see the Pikachu is set up, and with the Gnaw from last turn, we are actually going to faint. However, fortunately for us, Machamp is incredibly bulky and is going to be swinging in for 120 damage. Fighting energy attached. And there we go. I'm gonna guess this is Seismic Toss, but I can't say it for certain. It definitely seems like that's probably what the attack is, though, based on my knowledge of the characters. Alright, another Gnaw is only going to deal a measly 20 damage. Potion will heal that right up. And then we will attach an energy to the Clobbopus. Obviously, we've already defeated the AI here. So, since they are not an actual human being, I have no problems BMing them. Let's evolve as well. Activate the X speed, even though we have no plans of retreating. And hit him with one more Seismic Toss, 120 damage, finishing the game. F3 says the Pikachu has Charizard HP. So the Charizard in this game will have a little bit more health, but if you are referring to the base set Charizard from the physical card game, that is true. It is balanced out a little bit by the Pikachu being worth 2 prize points. However, it is definitely much stronger than a base set Charizard in terms of setting up and being able to be usable. Next up is Mewtwo and Gardevoir. Let's see what we are able to do. Our Darkness type deck is actually terrible. So we're just gonna go in right away with Water and see if my Starmie and Articuno deck is enough to do it. Now, I'm definitely not saying that Starmie is the best deck in the game or anything. However, it is the one we have the cards to kind of make semi-functional. And here is an interesting thing. If we are able to pull 2 heads with Misty, are we able to attack? It's something I've been very curious about. But will we be able to test it? Unfortunately not. Only a single heads means no energy for attacking this turn. Frostmoth and Staryu are my other attackers, so it is great to have one of each on the bench. Even though we were going first, we are going to grab the first energy attachment, and that might be enough to turn the math on this matchup around. Let's go ahead and evolve, and then I'm switching for Starmie with my Professor. So we're going to use our Pokeball first, thinning the deck by one additional card. Pagase no Kenkyu, and Farfetch'd, and a red card. Red card seems pretty good. Our opponent has 5 cards in hand, so we're already getting rid of 2 of them. We've already attached energy, and I have no reason to bench the Kaonegi. Let's go in with Articuno, Ice Wing, 40 damage. And they managed to find the Kirlia anyway, and another Mewtwo. They are going to get in with a Nendodon, hitting us for 50. Fortunately, we are going to be able to start firing off Blizzard. And unless they pull out a Gardevoir from their final 2 cards, we should take out the Mewtwo before we lose, thanks to our Misty. There it is, another Nendodon, down to 30 health. Unfortunately for us, we are in a little bit of a struggle, but the potion top deck is exactly what we needed to see. With this, we go back above 50, and this means the next Mewtwo to come in is not going to one-shot us unless they have a Giovanni in hand. Let's KO this Mewtwo and see if we are able to pick up a win here. An early advantage is much needed. And it's exactly what we managed to get, thanks to a lucky flip with Misty. Alright, and Articuno survives with exactly 10 health. We could retreat this turn if we wanted to go for a clean win, in which none of us faint. So I am gonna go for it. Let's activate the X speed, pay 1 to retreat, and bring in Frostmoth. This is going to give us a chance to put Mewtwo to sleep, denying it from another turn of attacking. Unfortunately, they immediately wake up. However, Frostmoth is going to be able to survive 1 hit from the Mewtwo, but maybe not if they activate Gardevoir. And now, suddenly, we are in a terrible position with Gardevoir online. There's nothing we can do to stop this Mewtwo from swinging in every single turn. However, I'm not giving up yet. If I am able to attach an energy to the Staryu, and then play down another basic so we don't lose to Sabrina, I can hit the Mewtwo for 20 damage, putting it at 70. And that's going to be just enough, where Blizzard from Articuno is enough to take out Mewtwo and provide the final point I need. If I had brought in the Articuno, they would have gained 2 points on that turn, and the battle would have been over. But thanks to the X speed, there is an extra energy on my Articuno, and I'm able to attach the third one once more. And Blizzard will finish the job. 70 damage, knocking out Mewtwo. And now I do wonder, does this actually count as 4 points for some of the missions? Or do we even have that mission on this battle? Alright, and it looks like we dealt 420 out of the 1500 damage we needed to do. Unfortunately, that is the only one we actually managed to complete, as they did knock out the Frostmoth right at the end. Next up is Marowak and Machamp. And after this one, we should be ready to open some packs. Fighting types are weak to Psychic and Grass, but neither of those decks are particularly good. Let's keep going with our Starmie. Alright, and it looks like we are going first. Usually a disadvantage, but maybe something we can turn around with Misty. That being said, our opening board is looking quite weak. We want to draw as many cards as possible to give us a chance of finding that Starmie. A potion and a Snom. Snom goes onto the bench. But other than that, I think we just need to end turn. Alright, they play a Pokeball, rounding out their bench, should they choose to. Another Pokeball, and I think they gotta be aiming for a Cubone. Alright, hitting us for 20 damage. Fortunately, we do have the potions here. I'm gonna go ahead and play another Professor's Research as we continue to search for our evolution Pokemon, like Starmie EX. I'm under the impression Machoke deals 50, so we need to go with this, even though it feels a little silly. Let's bring in another Snom and red card them, as they have 4 cards in hand. And let's bring them down by 1. No need to drop any potions just yet. Another Machoke, or another Machop, is getting powered up. However, 90 damage is going to be a one-hit KO. And it honestly might even be able to KO the Machokes as well. We are not going to play the Misty here, as I want to save it for if we draw it into Articuno and end up needing the energy later. We've already played both of our Professor's Research, so there aren't many other supporter cards in the deck that are going to conflict with the Misty. 80 damage, or 80 health on the Hitmonchan is not enough. And we are going to throw down a potion here, just to be extra safe. And speaking of Articuno, there it is. Let's place it onto the bench, and then try using Misty to charge up energy onto it. Currently, our Starmie is going to be enough to grab a KO anyway. But should we need to retreat, let's say the Starmie gets low later, it'll be good to have a backup. But this battle has been going quite well. Is the tutorial good at teaching the game? I would say yes, absolutely. Obviously I have played a lot of Pokemon TCG before, but it was very hand-holdy. It explains everything you could possibly want to know about the game. So I don't want my opponent to claim any prize points. So we are going to be going here and using Blizzard. And unless they are able to play down a Sabrina to force us to switch out, we will claim all 3 of our prize points. Or maybe not. A Machamp EX. Unfortunately, it is going to deny us our clean sweep. Another Blizzard brings it down to 20 health, but that is enough for them to KO our Articuno. We were so close to being able to clear the no prizes taken mission. We'll have to come back with a better deck another time. But speaking of better decks, we are at the point where we are going to be able to open 10 packs. Let's finish up this mission and go check on the packs. The other night, I made a spreadsheet detailing all the cards I was missing. and I assigned some point values to them. It is a very close tie between Pikachu and Charizard packs. So, I'll give the chat a chance to put a suggestion in the chat. If you would like to see Charizard packs or Pikachu packs, let me know. Otherwise, I will default to the Pikachu. Level 12, giving us even more hourglasses. I'll give you all about 30-45 seconds to choose something. So here in the present box, we are not going to be able to actually claim any rewards, as there's a limit to 5 shop tickets per day. But let's move over to the pack screen. The Charizard pack, apart from the Charizard cards, also contains the Greninja line, Lapras, Starmie EX, and Exeggutor, alongside a couple of powerful trainers, such as Sabrina. On the other hand, Pikachu is going to give us access to the powerful Wigglytuff EX, dealing 80 damage and putting the opponent to sleep. It also provides the entire Nidoking line, alongside, of course, Zapdos and Pikachu. It is a really close call, but Rafflesia has voted, and I was leaning towards the Pikachus myself. Let's open up 10 packs using 116 hourglasses. And here's hoping for some good ones. Let's see if we get any magical sparks shooting out of the pack. And I didn't see anything. So there's a chance all 10 of these packs are duds. But obviously we are very much hoping that is not the case. Dugtrio is a new card. 40 for 1, and a chance to avoid all damage from attacks on the next turn. Unfortunately, they are able to use a card like Sabrina or Pidgeot to force it out. Alright, we get another Pinsir into the collection. Next up is a Clobbopus, and there we go. We can see a high rarity card coming up next. And it is a second Arcanine EX. That is a huge boon for our Fire deck. We don't own any of the Charizard pieces, but we do own an Arcanine. So, that will be pretty good. Another Frostmoth is actually pretty solid, as it's going to be able to replace one of the Farfetch'd in what is already our best deck. Hyper Voice is 60 for 2, not terrible for a colorless attacker. Apparently this one is able to find a Nidoran male and bench it. Could be another piece of a Nidoking Nidoqueen deck. Another big trio, and there is the Nidoran male we were just talking about. Looks like the final card of this pack might be a shiny, and it is the 3 Diamond Raichu. 140 damage is a ton, but it does come at the cost of discarding all of your energy. In order to use this successfully, it's gonna need to be the one finishing off a game. Pack number 6. Looks like it is all duplicates, except for our final Pokemon, Dodrio. Another Pokemon with free retreat that could potentially slot in to a deck that needs something to swap around with. Alright, there is a third Frostmoth and a non-EX Arcanine. Looks like we already had one though. Next up, another Drowsy and Metapod, but I'm still, I believe, missing the Butterfree and the Caterpie. But speak of the devil. Butterfree's effect allows us to heal 20 damage from all of our Pokemon every single turn. If we find a Caterpie, it might be a solid, basic support line to include in the deck. Another Jigglypuff, Snom, Nidorino, now providing us with a full line of Nidoking. We are going to need another copy of the Nidoran Male and Nidorino, but we are much closer to finishing this deck now. And the second Butterfree immediately after the first one. Our very first Magnemite. I have actually been looking for this card as I'm interested in Magneton's ability to charge itself up. That being said, it is a rather inefficient attacker. So we're going to need to wait for cards like Energy Switch to be released for Magneton's power to fully shine. Here comes a Jolteon, another new card, able to deal up to 160 damage, flip 4 coins, and deal 40 for each heads. On average, you're dealing at least 80 damage, which is not bad for 2 energy. I might need to actually go ahead and try it out. Also, we've just leveled up again by opening all these packs. Oh, and we did actually find a Caterpie as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 12 new cards from our 10 pull. On average, every pack had at least 1 new card. Not bad. That being said, I think this means the math is changed here. On our next pulls, we are going to be going for Charizard packs. Our Pokedex, we've collected over 250 cards. When you think of 250, Ho-Oh comes to mind. Some kind of trainer. It appears before special trainers with its rainbow wings, or something like that. Is Pinsir good? I remember it being okay. We'll go ahead and do another closer look at it once we finish registering all the new cards to our Pokedex. Over 140 means we did finish a mission. Let's go ahead, scroll up over to the grass types, and Pinsir. 2 energy, flipping 2 coins, and 50 for each head. I would say this is average. I like that it is a basic, but I mean, if we compare it to the Jolteon we just pulled, both of them are at 90 hit points, but Jolteon is able to flip 4 coins for just 1 less damage per head. Additionally, when it comes to basics, being able to high roll into 100 damage is pretty good. But there are other cards I'd probably want to run, like Kangaskhan, which unfortunately I don't think we've pulled yet. But it does 30 on a head flip, and it also flips 2 coins, and it's a little bit bulkier. More importantly, it's only 1 energy. Yes, I'm not perfect at all the special conditions, and the attack names. I struggle to read the attack names, but the effect text on any of the cards in the game is simple enough that I'm going to be able to read it. We will open 1 more pack and save up for another 10 pull. Let's do 1 Charizard pack just to see what we get. There are a ton of even low rarity cards that we don't yet have. And it looks like today we're going to be opening this one. Let's see what we get. Starting off with a 2-star card, but it is one we already own. Looking like duplicates. And there's even a Starmie EX in the back. So this pack offered no new cards. However, having a second Starmie is going to make us way more consistent here. So let's head back and edit up our deck just a little bit. Obviously we also pulled the Frostmoth, so our evolution lines are looking much smoother here. We're going to be able to remove the Kamonegi entirely. 2/2 Starmie X, 2/2 Frostmoth, and an Articuno. Are there any other cards we want to run? Maybe a X Speed. But realistically, Starmie already has a free retreat, so we should be able to get away with only running one. Other than that, I know we also pulled an Arcanine EX, so let's go ahead and edit our fire deck, adding in our new boss monster. I might even add in a regular Arcanine, just so we are even more likely to be able to evolve the Growlithe, should we open with one. This deck, however, feels like one where we're going to need the extra X speed to really get our Arcanines out of the active spot. Most of these Pokemon have 2 retreat, rather than just 1. Did we pull anything interesting for our Lightning deck? I don't believe so. We could put in a Magneton line, but it's not that strong. And we didn't pull any additional Zapdos or anything. We could actually argue for a supporter line. Like the Butterfree we just saw. And that'll synergize a little bit with the damage that Zapdos inflicts to itself. But it does take up a ton of space, and I'm not sure it's going to be worth it. Fortunately, I mean, something like a Heliolisk doesn't require any additional support to make work. It is a colorless attacker, able to deal as much as 80 damage. Oh, we could also actually try out the Jolteon line. That sounds pretty fun. So we are at 20, but we need to add in the Eevee still. And that puts us at 22. I'll cut the Pincurchin and a Kamonegi. Actually, let's put the Pincurchin back in. Paralysis is a pretty strong effect. And there we go. Definitely still a bit of a mishmash. But once we find a couple of good full lines of electric attackers, we'll be okay. Adam is asking, is the Psychic deck good? I think the Gardevoir and Mewtwo EX is definitely competitive. Way better than a ton of the decks I currently have for other types. I'm not sure I would say it is the best deck in the game. However, it is a fun looking one, and I would not fault anyone who wants to use it. Now, we have done a ton of the battles. Obviously, these missions are not very complete. But we'll try finishing out against the Machamp and see if our upgraded Starmie deck is able to win. In the meantime, if anybody wants to battle, let me know, and I will add you as a friend and set up a room after this. I'm going to be doing PvP once we finish all of the NPC battles. Alright, Professor's Research is going to draw a few cards. Wait, I'm pretty sure I actually already beat this. But that's okay. We will give it another shot anyway. Staryu is gonna hit in for 20. Cubone is able to stall. However, we already have Starmie EX in our hand. However, they have drawn a Marowak, which could spell trouble. If they swing in for 160 damage, they are able to KO anything in our deck. So we will need to move quickly. Starmie is 90 a turn. And we'll start setting up the bench as well. Fortunately, our opponent is only at 1 card in hand. Alright, so Starmie brings the Marowak down to 30. But they do have a Machamp. Oddly enough, though, it is not powered up. But unfortunately, their final card is an X speed, allowing them to retreat the Marowak and denying us our 2 prize points. Misty is going to activate on the Articuno. And depending on how much we are able to attach, could affect our play here. Starmie has a free retreat. And if we are able to land 3 Blizzards, we will knock out the benched Marowak. Oh, and because we rolled so many successes, I didn't even think to attach the energy for turn. Blizzard swings in, knocks out Machop, and brings Marowak EX down to just 20 health. Machamp is coming in, but they are an energy behind. Due to the odd attachment they made a turn prior. And this means we should have this in the bag. Another Blizzard puts Marowak at just 10 HP. Even if Machamp doesn't go down or chooses to retreat, the Marowak will fall. 120 damage is not enough to KO our Articuno. And with that, we swing in with 1 final Blizzard. Articuno faints. Or no, I'm sorry, the Marowak. And that is game. For the first time, we've actually managed to clear a Master Ball challenge, in which none of our Pokemon get KO'd. We're also at 7 out of 12 points. So something to note about these challenges is that they are cumulative. As you can see, we've claimed 7 points, which means we've won it twice. In a 3-point game, you're forced to do it multiple times in order to actually clear it. There are still some, like the low rarity clears, that I will have to spend a little bit more time thinking about how exactly I want to do it. But in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and put up my friend code. If anyone wants to battle, just send me a friend request and I'll make a room. I need a text box. Okay. And my friend code is 3285 0287 7629. Not sure what the best color is gonna be to make this legible. I guess black should work. Oh, but it is gone now. made it a little bit too small, and it completely disappeared. Hopefully this is still legible. If anybody wants to send a friend request. Other than that, I am going into random battles online. We're going to be taking our Starmie deck out for a spin. And our opponent has been found. Similar level, but they do have the Giovanni avatar. In my random battles so far, I would say these are some of the more difficult opponents I've come across. Whereas I'd say maybe the Snorlax avatars are a little bit more casual. We've opened up with all 4 supporter cards, but we do have an Articuno in the active. If we get lucky with Misty, we can swing in immediately for a big swing. Starmie EX as well. Let's see if our Misty is able to land. And that's 1. Unfortunately, only 1 energy. But it does mean we are attacking next turn. We are definitely going to use the other Misty and try to swing in with a Blizzard before the Heliop tile has a chance to evolve. Monster Ball, going to get a bunch of basics to flood the board with. I suppose if they draw into another Heliop tile, they could aim to try evolving that one instead. But they are going to attach an energy here. 40 damage plus a potential 100 damage is exactly enough to faint our Articuno. So, if we flip tails and didn't draw a basic, we would have lost there. Monster Ball activates. Obviously, Staryu is the best one. But we will take Snom as well. We're gonna go for a high roll. Kasumi needs to land a heads here in order for us to KO the Heliop tile. Unfortunately, we do not. So Ice Wing is only hitting for 40 and fails to KO. And now, if they have Heliolisk, we are in trouble. We see a Zebstrika, able to deal 30 damage even to our benched Pokemon. And here it is. If this Pokemon lands a heads, we are doomed. All we have is a Frosmoth, which is far from able to deal with the opponent here. 40 HP remaining. A potion would be wonderful. Not seeing very many other ways for our lovely Articuno to survive the turn. We are able to evolve here, and we can even put down a Staryu. However, if you want to KO this Pokemon, it is going to require the help of Blizzard. And that means our Starmie is not going to be ready for the next turn. Even just 1 more heads on Misty would significantly change the way this game plays out. Alright, Thunder Arrow, 30 plus 20 from weakness. Articuno is unfortunately going down. And they only need a single point to win this battle. We will bring in the Staryu. Then we are going to need to evolve. And then play, research, and look for some potions. That is exactly what we wanted. With this, we are able to retreat the Starmie and then bring it in healthily on the next turn. So Frostmoth is going to sit here and tank a hit for us. It'll take 50 damage, but then we can switch, bring in the Starmie, and it'll even be able to heal with the potion. However, I'm not feeling great about this Hurricane Thunder. Able to deal up to 200 damage in a single blow. However, our retreat here does mean if they don't red card us, we would be able to survive an extra hit from the Zapdos and force them into having 3 heads. Alright, they are choosing to do something. But is it just the Thunder Arrow? It is. They recognize that Starmie is the true threat here, which is a little bit unfortunate for us, as that does change the math. Obviously, we need to power up our Starmie and just continue to play as normal. We are going to retreat and bring in Starmie. Starmie heals for 20. And then knocks out the Zebstrika. And it is now a huge battle between Zapdos and Starmie. This is another situation where access to Sabrina would be huge. If I was able to force out the Zapdos and make them bring in a weak Pokemon like Voltorb, our victory would be nearly guaranteed. Even the Electrode doesn't have enough enough health to survive a Hydro Splash. Alright, pack 440. This is quite dangerous. I'll go ahead and hit them after attaching an energy. And it all is going to come down to how much they flip. Even 2 out of 4 heads is going to be enough. Hurricane Thunder needs to hit 3 tails. And a Pikachu EX does provide Sabrina protection here. Not that it matters. Here come the deadly coin flips. We need to see 3 tails. And somehow, Hurricane Thunder misses a KO by 10 points. Swing in with the Starmie, and that is game. Definitely got very lucky. But winning a match should provide us with 15 experience points. Very slow progress, but we'll send them a thanks. I definitely enjoyed getting to see the Pikachu deck in action. We'll do another round, and maybe I will try setting up a match. If nobody in the chat is interested, I will try going to the Pocket Discord server. Alright, we opened up with all of our evolutions here. You know, now that I think about it, I wonder if I should even be running the Frostmoth line. The main issue is I'm not sure if there are even any other good options. Alright, and we are against the Mewtwo Gardevoir deck. seems pretty competent. Definitely a lucky pull over there. The immersive Mewtwo. And all we can do is attach an energy and end our turn. Alright, Kirlia is here. But if I'm able to draw into a Misty and flip heads, the Kirlia would faint and leave them in a terrible position. Unfortunately, it is pretty unlikely. But we do hit the 1 out of 7 chance to draw Misty. Do we then also hit the 50-50 to flip a heads here? And we do. 1 energy is all we need. Blizzard for 80 damage. Wipes out the Kirlia before it is able to fully evolve. Thank you, Misty, for giving us that first point. And we now have a 3 energy advantage over our opponent. Who are they going to bring in next? Instead of bringing in anybody, they simply choose to surrender. And Articuno picks up a win. Looks like there is a battle request channel. As always, I'm gonna send them a thanks, potentially granting a shop ticket or 2. Then, to try to battle against specific people. What do I need to do here? I'd like to make a room. Is anybody able to join these? Or do they need to be on the friends list? So, anybody who wants to play is free to hop in with this code. I'll give it a minute or 2. And of course, if nobody shows up, I don't want to be sitting here boring you all. We will simply, figure out a better time to do it. So, anyone in chat, let me know what you have been trying to build. Are there any cards you are particularly hunting? Or any cards you are excited to try? Personally, I was initially going for the Pikachu EX, but then after pulling the double Starmie, I'm pretty content with the water deck. Obviously, pulling a Lapras would be great. But it seems it is not to be. And now I'm going just through my spreadsheet a little bit to remove the cards we pulled from the previous 10 pull. Probably not gonna be able to get all of them, but I know I did pull a few here. Then we pulled a regular Wigglytuff, And with all of that calculated, it looks like the Charizard pack is probably my best bet, as it's gonna be the big trainers we need, like Sabrina, though Mewtwo does have the Giovanni, so it is a little bit of a split. The main thing going in favor of Charizard is that I also would like to build Exeggutor EX, should I get the opportunity. And Greninja also seems like a worthwhile support Pokemon. That all said, Mewtwo and Charizard are pretty close in the total number of cards that I am missing. Oh wait, there is... I forgot to click the Q there. Though, if nobody shows up in 30 to 60 seconds, we will probably switch over to Arcanine and try a couple of those on the random matches. Oh, and it says here, unable to find an opponent. No problem at all. Go to random matches and switch up off of Starmie. I think the Starmie deck has been pretty good, though obviously a big part of it comes down to rolling with Misty. I'm going to be able to do more consistent damage by playing with Arcanine. One thing in Arcanine's favor is the raw damage output, as it is able to hit for 120. However, there is no energy acceleration to the Arcanine EX. And I'm not really sure if, in the end, spending so long setting up is going to be worth it. I also don't have any good basic attackers along the vein of the Articuno EX in the Water deck. Alright, so my opponent started with absolutely nothing. Obviously, we are going to start setting up for the Rapidash, as 20 into 40 is a clean KO, unless they evolve into the Marowak EX. We activated Pokeball, but the game appears to have glitched, or at least lagged significantly. Alright, fortunately, we are still in it. Ponyta, swing in for 20, and next turn, we can start powering up our Arcanine. As long as this doesn't evolve, we are getting a KO, even if they apply the effect of Nakigoe. As long as they don't evolve, our own evolution will remove the effect and allow us to inflict 40 damage. However, Potion is going to bring that Cubone back up to 60 health and prevent us from grabbing the KO. Oh, and they've applied a special effect to their Pokeball by spending a little bit of Shine Dust. Another full art Cubone. I am starting to think this player may have rerolled for their account or gotten incredibly lucky. Our damage is down 20. Of course, applying an evolution removes all effects on an active Pokemon. And we draw another copy of Rapidash. Let's evolve. Power up Growlithe. And even bring in our Arcanine EX. Swinging in for 40 damage. Not enough to KO this Cubone. But are they going to evolve? Their deck is at 9. Their hand is at 6. Nearly a third of the deck is in their hand right now. And if they're running 2 copies of Cubone, they presumably also have double Marowak. The KO here is RNG. Will they hit? A big 160 damage with their Boomerang. Oh, and they're even forcing in the Arcanine. This is a huge Sabrina. Our opponent has a very threatening deck. Unfortunately, we don't have much we are able to do here. All we can do is hope they flip below average. And if we're able to survive a couple of turns, then we can KO the Marowak. 1 tails and 1 heads. We're going to need a potion here to have a good shot of surviving the next turn. Fortunately for us, both potions are already in hand. Oh, and there is another one. The X speed could allow us to retreat, but I don't think it's worth it. We are going to spend the other potion here, as this prevents a Giovanni from finishing off Arcanine with a single heads. Not much else I can do. We're going to have to pass turn. And then, even if they hit us for 80, we're going to have enough health to successfully land Arcanine EX's attack and KO that Marowak before they KO us. Another Professor. Interestingly, the Arcanine Stage 1 is incredibly similar to the EX. It loses 20 hit points and deals 20 less damage, but is otherwise identical. Is it possible for this card to be the better one? Ultimately, I would lean towards no. The 120 benchmark is huge, especially for KOing Pikachu EX. Alright, and they whiff the KO. Fortunately, Boomerang leaves us with 30 health remaining. And there comes another Growlithe. That being said, we do not have much in the way of energy without the Moltres EX to accelerate the energy onto our Pokemon. We are going to be left very weakened. Arcanine is going down, and I don't have any way to realistically stop the second Marowak from finishing the game, unless they get terrible, terrible rolls, in which case perhaps in 3 turns Arcanine can do something. But it makes sense, they are going for the Machop here, for a clean knockout, knowing I am unable to deal 70 damage. That being said, had I owned Blaine, Rapidash's damage could have been increased by an additional 30. So this could be a misplay. Unfortunately for me, I do not own Blaine, and it is not in this deck. So, I am not going to get the punish here. I am forced to bring in the Rapidash, and then I will evolve into a Arcanine. Place this down. Activate the red card on the opponent. And then swing 40 into the Machop. Interestingly, if they don't have an X-Speed in their hand, they actually won't be able to attack this turn. But I'm thinking they definitely had one before. So the red card may win us the game here. No guarantees though. Marowak at 840 is exactly enough to be KO'd by a combination of Gallop and Windy. But the power of Machoke is coming down. 50 damage is enough to two-shot our Rapidash. And that means I have to retreat, as again, I don't own Blaine. Attach another energy card. Then, I could booster, but I don't see much of a reason to. As if I need to attack with the Rapidash on a later turn, I'm always able to simply just attach the energy to it. I'll bring in Magmar. And then end. Obviously, another Sabrina is pretty game-ending. I'd be able to survive with the Magmar tank into some other shenanigans. However, it's looking like, more than anything, it's coming down to the rolls of Marowak. Even a single heads guarantees a KO on the next turn by switching Machoke back in. Let's see what they get. And somehow, miraculously, it is a double tails roll. That gives us just enough time to try winning. Arcanine swings in for 100 damage, dealing 20 to itself in the process. We have 2 copies of X-Speed. If we're able to survive the turn, we could retreat and grab a KO with anything. The big issue is if they drop another Sabrina. Our Magmar is forced in, and they have a 75% chance to win the game. Alternatively, what are they able to do? Like this, they are currently at just a 25% chance. They are attaching to a Machoke. But are they going to retreat? They do not. They have a 25% chance to KO this Arcanine. And they whiff. We've already scored 2 points. And Windy, with 30 health, is just barely able to finish it. The opponent concedes before we're able to bring in the final hit. And there is another 15 experience points for us. Thank you, Josh, for the battle. Time to queue for another one. Our opponent definitely had a pretty strong deck. We are currently queued over in the beginner leagues. But if my deck has 2 copies of an EX, maybe I should be going for the more competitive queue. So we are going to need to find some Growlithe. And if we need as many basics as possible, I think playing research before the Monster Ball makes sense. Also notable is we are going second, which means our Ponyta is able to attack right away. I don't know, Jubiga. Oh, I don't know. Matemasu. Entirely possible that my opponent queued and then forgot they were playing. Alright, but no, it is another Marowak player. Definitely a surprise. I feel like this is a relatively rare deck. I'm not sure I've seen it at all up until the last 2 games. My opponent dropping a huge Professor's Research. But depending on how many cards they bench, a red card may just be able to reduce their hand size. And it looks like it is. We are looking for basics ourselves. And we find a Growlithe. So, Monster Ball is up next. Bench the 2 Growlithe. Attach to the Ponyta. Red card. Remove one of the cards from their hand. And then swing in for 20. Obviously, we're hoping for a Rapidash on the next turn if they don't evolve this Cubone. But a 1 or 2 out of 11 is pretty low. Machop is coming down. And it actually looks like they are going to be retreating the Cubone. Bring in Hitmonlee to start sniping our Growlithe. Notably, the Hitmonlee is unable to hit our active Ponyta. But it is dealing 30 damage. We'll have to evolve whichever one they don't aim for. And obviously again, trying the Rapidash is a huge improvement to the clock. And we are incredibly lucky. Rapidash comes down. And we'll start powering up the Growlithe that did not get hit. Swing in for 40. And Hitmonlee might just fall on the next turn. Do they have a potion in hand? Or not? Evolving into a Machoke. Could they be going for the Machamp EX? And is it already in their hand or not? I believe Machamp also inflicts 120 damage, which is pretty threatening. All of our Arcanine require 3 energy to use the attack, so we're going to continue powering up Growlithe for now. I have a potion, but I do want to save it, as there's a chance they are simply going to bring in Machoke and not evolve it, and then go for a 2-hit KO on the Rapidash. If they do that, Potion will turn it into a 3-shot. And at the same time, we are powering up our Magmar. Porygon is going to let them see the top card of their deck, but I'm not sure if there are any synergies with this. Oh, and by playing the Pokeball, they're able to change the top card of the deck. So they must not have liked what they were seeing there. And this leads me to believe they do not have the Machamp in hand, trying to stack the deck to get it instead. Alright, so obviously we are not going to red card because we don't think they have it. We drop into an Arcanine and a Monster Ball. We'll play down the Monster Ball, but we aren't going to evolve our Arcanine just yet. There's still a chance we draw into the EX. And also, it appears the Pokeball is taking a while again. Not much we can do until it loads. Alright, we got a Ponyta out of it. Attach to Magmar. Then heal Gallop. And we wait one more turn. Swing in for 40. Wait a second. I definitely misplayed. Had I chosen to evolve into the Arcanine, we could have put the energy on there and just straight up KO'd the Machoke. What a throw. Fortunately, if they don't evolve, we are okay. But there it is, a Machamp EX, able to one-shot all of our Pokemon. What a huge misplay on our end. We absolutely could have knocked out that Machoke. Now, all we can do is try to stall into an Arcanine EX. We are going to play Magmar. Drop a Ponyta onto the bench and evolve into Arcanine EX, revealing that we have it. And then swing for 50, bringing them in range for our Arcanine to KO on the next turn. A potion is huge here. Do they have it? We see 1 in the discard, so 3 out of 7, just under 50%. Obviously, if they KO the Magmar, the game ends, and we win. If they try to retreat, Magmar might just be able to muscle its way through the bench Pokemon. What will they choose? I mean, I do think retreating and stalling for a potion makes a lot of sense, especially if our Magmar isn't able to one-shot these Pokemon. If they are able to draw an additional 2 cards. There is a pretty solid chance. Oh, and there it is. X speed. Oh, but they are running out of time here. What happens now? Unfortunately, they had to end their turn prematurely due to the time limit. And that is going to end the game. We retreat Magmar. Bring in Arcanine. And swing in. 120 is exactly enough. Or actually a little bit more than enough to finish it out. And Arcanine MVP. Despite only swinging in a single time, it did earn us 2 of the 3 prize points. I'll go ahead and send them a thanks. We'll switch back over to Starmie and then see what is in the advanced queue. Presumably, I'm expecting to see pretty completed decks from my opponents here. That being said, my main question is whether or not playing in this queue rewards more experience if it's listed as a more challenging queue. We are going second. So, if Misty is able to flip heads, we can start swinging in on that Eevee immediately. But if not, we will still have a 1 energy advantage. Our opponent appears to be on a fire deck, bringing in a Moltres. We do have the type advantage, though I'm not sure it actually changes the math on any of these battles. Obviously the best case scenario for us is Misty landing 2 or 3 heads, allowing a turn 1 Blizzard onto the Eevee and weakening the Moltres and Charizard for later in the game. Our move, and we draw into a Staryu. Also a great card to start setting up. But first up is Misty, and there are no successes there, which means not a single point of damage will be dealt this turn. Obviously was really hoping for the extra swing. And they are leveling up that Charmander. However, without an X speed of their own, I spoke too soon. Basically, they are going to be bringing in a Moltres to start charging up their very own Charizard EX. And it is a battle of time to see how many energy they are able to attach to it. With enough energy, Charizard will 1-hit KO any Pokemon in the game. But it requires 2 energy discarded every time it happens. 2 out of 3 is a great start for them. We'll have to see what we draw. I suppose at this point, we are looking for a Snom. The only thing to give us a chance of dealing with Charizard is by putting it to sleep with our Frostmoth for long enough to take it out with a more powerful monster. Interestingly, Moltres is weak to lightning rather than water, so we are unable to two-shot it. And this means there is more than enough time for our opponent to try charging up Charizard. And here it is. 200 damage. Oh, and even a Sabrina. I suppose we will bring in the Staryu here. Unless we're able to draw into an X speed. We are in some trouble. However, our opponent, fortunately, is out of cards. Three additional energy. That Flareon is very powered up. I suppose we bring in Starmie for the free retreat. But then Articuno has to be the play. Even if they are able to one-shot it. Swing in with a Blizzard. And then I do expect the Moltres to retreat here. Honestly, even just swing in for the KO with Charizard makes a ton of sense. Is there any way we can navigate around this? if we play down the Frostmoth. Well, no, if they KO the Articuno, there's really nothing we can do. We need an extra energy. Oh, but they are spending another turn, charging up Charizard, which does make a lot of sense. But they roll into 3 tails. But does it matter? They're at 4 and go up to 5. So even though they rolled 3 consecutive tails, it doesn't matter. If they knock out the Articuno, then I am forced to try sleeping the Charizard with our Frostmoth. Obviously the Flareon would lose in the game if they brought it in. So they are opting not to do that. Charizard is here, attaching an energy, discarding 2, and the next turn it'll still be at 4. So it all comes down to whether or not Frostmoth can consistently land multiple turns of sleep. Alright, an X-Speeder is not very useful here. Oh, also worth noting, if they play a Sabrina, well, okay, it all comes down to whether or not they wake up this turn, and then next turn as well. And there is an immediate wake up. Charizard coming in with another Gure no Arashi. We tried our best, but winning that was pretty unlikely. Again, maybe some faster acceleration from Misty would have helped, but it is inherently an inconsistent card, so I can't blame it. I will say that was a very competent deck, so it makes sense they are in the advanced queue. After this next battle, I am going to want to try adding some effects to the Pokeball and Professor's research cards. Alright, so we opened with Frostmoth and Starmie. I am a little bit concerned about Primeape dealing a ton of damage. But if we draw into a Staryu here, Articuno, I am less inclined to start powering up because it takes so long. I think instead, we'll just try to put the opponent to sleep on the next turn with Frostmoth. 10 damage. Pass it over. That said, I think the Primeape actually might just KO the Frostmoth. In which case, we will be in a fair bit of trouble. Interestingly, they used the potion here. I think specifically to avoid a KO with Giovanni. But they are not the only one running potions. I'm pretty sure Marowak, Primeape deals 70 damage. So we are going to go and potion ourselves. Inflict 40 and see if we are able to claim the first prize point. Unfortunately, they wake up anyway, so even if they don't have the primate, it is going to be able to swing in. And there it is. 40 plus, it's actually 100 damage. That is wild. I thought it was only 80. And that misplay is going to cost us the game. Perhaps I should have gone for the red card. If I'd suspected they had the primate in hand. Alright, Monster Ball is coming. And we need a Staryu. But even with Staryu, our only win condition is if we draw into the second X speed to gain a free retreat on the Articuno and then KO the primate. We need a very specific hand to make this work. And unfortunately, we didn't draw it. What we might actually be able to do though is play down the Starmie, play the speed boost, attach 1 energy, and then retreat into Staryu. And then also red card the opponent. We are out of cards, but our plan is that they knock out the Staryu, and I bring in the Starmie, and make a 3-0 comeback. How likely this is not very. Especially with them having a 4-card hand here. Obviously, even a Sabrina would throw a huge wrench in the plan. But even without it, we are able to KO the primate. But how are we going to get 2 more knockouts before they're able to deal 130 damage? Or even just 40, should a Sabrina show up. Primate is down. And in comes Cubone. Are they setting up for a Marowak EX? Or simply spending the time to buff the grab block? Either way, does make sense. Lowering the damage by 20. Does not matter. We have a Misty here, but it doesn't make much of a difference. Even if we flip 10 heads. Articuno has some energy. We will red card to try minimizing the odds of a Sabrina hit. And then we KO the the Cubone. But we simply don't have the means to get rid of this grapple lock. It forces Starmie onto the bench and then won't have enough to survive another hit. So, what we need to draw is Potion. That is our only win condition. Well, that is obviously a misplay. Unfortunately, we don't own Sabrina, so we are not able to capitalize on them benching a new Pokemon here. And that's why Charizard is definitely going to be the pack we aim for next. We didn't draw a Potion, so the game is unfortunately over. The players in this queue definitely are tougher opponents. But it does make me want to try out that Primate, especially against NPCs. Is Primate a card I own? The answer is no. And unsurprisingly, it is yet another Pokemon from the Charizard pack. I think we're gonna go until we are able to win in this queue. Because I need to figure out if it gives us more than 15 experience points. Is it worth it from a level grinding standpoint to try playing against stronger opponents? If not, I think we'll just stick to the casual queue until we're able to perfect our deck. Giovanni, Sabrina, probably the main ones we are looking for. We are up second, but all we opened was a Snom. We have Misty, but Professor Oak probably makes more sense for the first move. And of course, we just finished losing to Primate. So we are gonna try not to enrage it this time, and instead go for a one-hit KO with our Starmie, if we are lucky enough to be able to do so. Otherwise, we may need to hit it for 10, and then finish it off with an Articuno's Blizzard. Alright, and we see the Kangaskhan, another powerful Pokemon. First, we need to bring in Professor Oak. Alright, and we drop both Pokeballs. Another Snom, the one basic we wanted to see the least. Alright, and there is Articuno. I think we are okay with attaching to the Articuno this turn. We are gonna bench the other Frostmoth, or the other Snom, in case they try to KO us. And then we'll still be able to evolve later in the game. Obviously, we definitely want to land a heads-on Misty here next turn. But unfortunately, they hit us with a brutal red card. But we draw right back into Misty. So our plan is exactly the same. Flip heads on Misty. Then X-Speed to retreat the Snom. And then KO with Blizzard. It is a 50-50 shot. Will we be able to do it? Let's go gambling. Unfortunate. No energy has been accelerated here. I am going to bench the Staryu though. And all we can do is end turn again. We've given them way too many cards to work with. And of course, here comes the Primate. Had we been charging up a Starmie, we would have been able to grab the KO. But instead, we are forced to enrage the Primate and take a massive 100 damage. Another copy of Misty. Unfortunately, we don't own Giovanni, as it would make a huge difference to have it in our hand right now. Potion might be able to do something, but for now, Blizzard. And Blizzard is actually relevant. The 10 damage on Kangaskhan makes it susceptible to a Hydro Splash from our Starmie EX. And the 10 damage left on Primeape does start them, or stop them from being able to retreat, as Blizzard will follow. Things are looking rough, but we are not out of the game yet. Oh, but the Farfetch'd is a crazy addition. Being able to swing in for 40 damage would be a clean KO. Here comes Frosmoth. Now, what do we do? I'm gonna try powering up the Frosmoth. But it is a miss. Potion is gonna need to heal this, as if it goes down, we simply lose immediately. And then I think we really need to just draw the Starmie. Oh, also a Hitmonlee might be able to finish the game. Our plan is to tank a hit from Kangaskhan, then retreat. But Hitmonlee also hits 30 on the bench, so we will see what they do. Maybe the Frosmoth was the better play. At 80 health, we'd be able to put it to sleep and probably tank a couple of hits. Another Mankey onto the board. And here it comes. 25% chance to end the game right now. And one hit. Another Frosmoth. We are going to attach, then X speed. And we can see here how the energy attachment is costing us. Not being able to attack this turn is pretty big, as we're forced to give them another chance to hit us for 60. Alright, Monster Ball. We are at a 40% chance to draw the Starmie here. But does it even save us? We'd be able to retreat and hit for 90, but that is not a KO. Alright, and we get spared an extra turn by the Kangaskhan. A potion is incredibly relevant here, as it prevents any opportunities from a stray Hitmonlee. Let's go ahead and swing in. Kangaskhan is asleep. And with a Tails, we are guaranteed an extra turn here. Now from 40 to 50% chance of drawing the Starmie and turning the game around. Another sleep check. And they do wake up, but we are planning to put them right back to sleep. Bench the Starmie. attach an energy, and hit for another 40. We aren't able to switch into the Articuno and swing for 80, as KOing it leaves us open to the opposing Pokemon coming in and swinging for 100. Alright, but the Kangaskhan is asleep again. Frostmoth stalling our way to the victory screen. Another energy on to Mankey. And with this, there are 3 cards in deck. 2 of them are a Starmie EX. And there is 1. Evolve Starmie. And attach energy to Staryu. Finally, we knock out Kangaskhan. And Primeape is only a 90 hit point Pokemon. Even if they manage to evolve, we are able to retreat into the Starmie and one-shot it, never worrying about the 100 damage blow-up. And our opponent is actually running low on time as well. They bring in a Kamonegi and are also down to 2 cards in deck. Barring any crazy shenanigans, we should have it. Frostmoth will retreat and KO any of their Pokemon with Hydro Splash. Alright, they are going to retreat. But who are they bringing in? None of these Pokemon are strong enough. This will only be 40 damage. Unless they have a way to harm their own Pokemon. But I don't believe such a card currently exists. They deal 40. And with 90 hit points, Primeape is going down. Frostmoth will retreat into the Starmie EX. And Hydro Splash is finishing off this game. With an exact KO. Despite Frostmoth being the one I would call the MVP, and Starmie finishing the game, the algorithm says that Articuno is actually my best Pokemon. Alright, but we have managed to win a round in the advanced queue. But unfortunately, it is only worth 15 points, just like in casual. We are going to open one more Charizard pack. And then call it a day. Alright, our first execute. Oh, and a Weeping Bow. Will the last card be a good one? Lapras. I mean, I could see putting this in my deck in case we ever have a crazy Misty. We gain a little bit of experience points, a couple of new cards for the collection, and I'm pretty satisfied with that. Nearly 150 unique cards. Still missing quite a few important ones, but we'll hopefully be able to find them as the days go by. Not trying to be too invested in what is supposed to be a casual collecting app. Obviously I'm hoping they add in a ranked mode at some point, but only because I'm trying to get even more rewards. Thank you everybody who tuned in, and I will see you next